Say,
Hey everybody, it's Happy Labor Day. Sorry about that. We've got some residual talking going on, but Happy Labor Day and welcome to Messy Kitchen Monday, Labor Day Q&A edition. So we posted a little graphic earlier in the week asking if anybody had any questions, whether it be about barbecue, since today is Labor Day, or any other kitchen type or cooking question. And we got some pretty good questions here. So again, I'm Brooke from The Buttered Home, and we thank you for joining us here on Messy Kitchen Monday Live. Be sure to give us a wave in the comments. Tell us where you're watching from. And certainly if you have any questions, ask them here in the comments. If I'm covering one of these that I already have, I'll get to your question shortly thereafter. So it's good to see y'all. I've had a wonderful day with my family today. We did some junk teaking today. We didn't come home with anything, but it sure was nice to kind of shop and be together and cut up and look at some really old vintage stuff. So I encourage you, do fun things with your family. Take an afternoon and go yard selling or go to your local flea mall like we did today. We had a really good time. So, life is not all about sitting together around the dinner table. You have to get out every once in a while and have fun together. So we did that today, and we hope that you all have enjoyed your Labor Day as well. It's back to the grind tomorrow. So let's get started with our Messy Kitchen Monday Labor Day Q&A. So the first question I had was some ideas. I need some ideas for toddler-friendly recipes. And I told my friend Amy, who asked me this, I said, I'll have to do some research on that. It's been a long time since my girls were little, and they ate a lot of fish sticks and things like that. They loved it whenever they were little. And Reagan, bless her heart, when she was little, she loved beanie weenies, but she talked funny, and it was funny to hear her ask for beans and weenies. So she ate a lot of those, and we still pick on her about that to this day. So toddler-friendly recipes, we've come a long way, Amy. The basic principle for little ones, especially toddlers, is something that they can kind of eat while they're on the move. Toddlers are busy and they're active. So you want to make sure that you have hand-friendly foods for them. A lot of good recipes that I found, and Amy, I'm going to send you a lot of these, are pizza quesadillas. You can make those really easy with the small flour tortillas, and you can choose whatever healthy options you like for the top. One good one that I saw was like a double quesadilla that had chicken and broccoli on it. And of course, you should be able to get just about any kid to eat broccoli or any other kind of vegetable with cheese. So if you add cheese to that and having the quesadilla so you can cut it and they can carry it in their hand, is a really good idea for little ones as well. Pigs in a blanket. Pigs in a blanket, you can do those with biscuits. You can do those with croissant dough. You can do those with puff pastry even, and you can get kind of fancy with them. You don't have to use just hot dogs. You can use all different kinds of meat. You can find sausage that's turkey sausage and do them that way, so it's a healthy option for them for pigs in a blanket. One really good recipe that I found, my kids love a tater tot casserole, and usually what that is just like a ground beef with some vegetables. Make it almost like a pot pie sort of, with French onion soup or cream of mushroom soup, and top it with tater tots. So that's always real good for little ones too, because little ones like tater tots. And something maybe for lunchtime that's real good are like roll-ups. We use flour tortillas, and you can get the wheat tortillas, and you can put ham and cheese in them. You can put any type of lunch meat in them, and you can put a little cream cheese spread in there, roll them up, and slice them into little pinwheels. And kids really like that too. So those are all really good options that you can make healthy for your toddlers. The second question that I had, and y'all have to tell you that I am not the grill master of the Buttered Home. The grill master of the Buttered Home refuses to be on camera, but he was kind enough to help me make some notes for my next question. And the next question was is there a particular kind of wood that you would use to smoke for barbecue? One of the things that Big D likes to do is he likes to do Boston butts, and we'll talk a little more about that here in a little bit. But he likes to do those, and he likes to use wood. So, you know, everybody has their own opinion as far as smoking meat, what kind of wood you should use. And here are some of his best tips. He says that hickory is the best overall. It's a more consistent burn. It creates a better smoke, which creates a good taste in your meat. You can use white oak, but you have to really be careful with white oak. If you're standing over it a lot, it'll smoke and it'll burn your eyes, so it can be a little unpleasant. His best advice, though, is don't try to get too fancy. You know, if you try to use apple wood or cherry wood, things like that, they require a little more attention. And he said really that as far as flavor profile, you can't really tell the difference between fancy apple wood and, say, hickory. So hickory is easier to find, and it does everything that you want it to do. Back to Boston butts. He smokes a lot of Boston butts here at home. We love his barbecue better than just about anybody's. You know, we kind of compare barbecue to the standard of Danny's, and his wins every time. And it's not just because we love him, it's because it's better. It has a good bark. It's not greasy, things like that. It's just, to us, it's better. So, you know, one of the couple of little things that I wanted to go over with you, and this is some research that I did, is about a Boston butt. Whenever you make a Boston butt, it's actually a pork shoulder or a picnic shoulder. Did I have a question? Okay. I'm not seeing a question on my end. Can you tell me what the question is, please? Okay, he's not even going to tell me. I don't see a question. And hold on. Let's see. Here we go. Now I feel like an idiot. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I'm not going to answer that question. Joyce, we'll talk later. Anyway, a Boston butt is actually a pork shoulder, or better known as a picnic shoulder. Where did it get the name Boston butt? I thought this was very interesting. During the pre-Revolutionary War and during the Revolutionary War period, New England butchers would store pork shoulders or picnic hams in barrels called butts. The name butt is derived from the Latin word buttus, B-U-T-T-I-S, and I'm absolutely sure that I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but it means in Latin barrel or cast. So they would store this relatively inexpensive cut of meat in barrels in surplus supply for to have it stockpiled for people during the Revolutionary War, pre-Revolutionary War, and during. And so they then derived the name of Boston butts because this practice was predominantly done in Boston, in New England. So that's where the name comes from. Hopefully we all learned something together today. A common question that people have about Boston butts is, do you wrap them whenever you cook them or not? And that's all personal preference. And as far as time goes, if you have time to babysit it or not. We like to cook ours overnight, checking it every 2 to 4 hours. So what Danny will do is he'll wrap ours for the majority of the cooking time and check it about every 2 to 3 hours. And then near the end, he takes the foil off so that it can get a good crust or a bark, but it's not too much, so it's not really tough. Now, if you're doing it during the day and you have time to kind of babysit with it, you can leave the foil off as long as you watch it and make sure that it doesn't burn. So that's what I have on Boston Butts for you on Monday Q&A Labor Day. So hopefully we learned something there. The next question that I had was how to make flank steak or skirt steak and make it done, well done, but not tough. I think her family would just refuse to eat it with any degree of pink in the middle. And so she wanted to know how to make it where it could be done and it would still be tender. And that's kind of difficult to do. Flank steak or skirt steak is also an inexpensive cut of meat, and it's very fibrous. So naturally, if you overcook it, it's not going to be as tender, say, as if it were medium to medium rare. However, there are a couple little tips that I have for you. First of all, there is a difference between flank steak and skirt steak. Flank steak is very thin, and it's a lean cut of meat. So if your family did want to eat it where it was kind of pink in the middle, that I would choose a flank steak because it would cook quicker and it could be eaten a little more rare to medium rare. That's a leaner cut of meat, so it doesn't have as much marbling or fat in it. So the longer you cook it, the tougher it's going to be. Skirt steak, however, flank steak is thicker than skirt steak. They're still both thin, but flank steak is a little thicker. Skirt steak is it's a little bit thinner, not much, but it's fattier. So it actually can be cooked a little bit longer, because what happens whenever you cook it longer, the fat kind of melts away and it makes a more tender cut of meat. So if you're going to choose one that you wanted to cook a little more well done, it would be skirt steak versus the flank steak. So a couple of ways that you can do this and you can actually make it tender and more done is you can marinate it. Just like we did when we cooked the sliced beef here, we marinated that for about 2 hours. So of course you want to, if you're using skirt steak or flank steak, you want to marinate from anywhere to 2 to 4 hours. If you marinate longer than that, you kind of compromise the integrity of the meat and it kind of starts to break down. The best way to tenderize the meat is to tenderize it with an acidic compound in your marinade. So if you go too long, then it almost starts to cook the meat inside the marinade, and then when you cook it on the stove, you kind of, it takes away all the flavor and the goodness of the meat. So the best, most basic marinade for skirt steak or flank steak is going to be 2 parts red wine to 1 part olive oil, and that gives you your acidic compound, and it also gives you the olive oil, which promotes the tenderness inside the meat. Now there are a couple of other ways. If you didn't want to use wine in your marinade, you could use a soy sauce and vegetable oil that has brown sugar and some onion and Worcestershire sauce in it, and balsamic vinegar. Those are all good acidic compounds. Another popular way to use flank or skirt steak is carne asada. And carne asada is a Mexican dish, and it's usually marinated with olive oil, lime juice, orange juice, white wine vinegar, oregano, chili powder, and garlic. So those are really good if you want to put kind of a Mexican spin on it as well. But all of those marinades, and you would do it for at least 2 hours, but no more than 4, to get that meat to kind of tenderize and cook it to whatever degree that you would like. Grilling is going to be the best way to do it. Grilling that meat is going to be the best way to get it to the degree of doneness that you want, and to, keep the flavor profile going in the meat. Braising it in the oven, you can do that in beef broth or tomato sauce. That's good as well. Broiling, you kind of got to babysit it to put it under the broiler, but broiling works good too. So those are the tips that I have for your flank steak or skirt steak to keep it tender and to get it more done than you otherwise would. I had a question: your favorite recipe to grill for chicken on the grill? Well, that's an easy one. This is one that I've been cooking, how long, Danny? Since, 23, 24 years, and it's sunshine chicken. And that's actually going to be one of the recipes that we're going to share on the blog in a few coming weeks. It is so good. You take chicken tenderloins and you wrap them in bacon, and then you marinate them in kind of almost a Hawaiian type sauce that's brown sugar and pineapple juice and orange juice. Same way with chicken. You don't want to marinate it too long, because then it starts to kind of break down the meat itself and takes away from the goodness of the meat. So for about 2 to 3 hours, you marinate the chicken, and then you grill it, and it's got this really nice crispy bacon on the outside, and the chicken is done. And the bacon adds flavor, and it protects the chicken from being burned on the grill. Chicken is bad to stick on the grill, and it's really, really easy to burn as well. And you can burn the outside of chicken on the grill and it not be done in the center. So the bacon helps protect that and allows you to be able to cook the chicken for the amount of time that you need to cook it in order for it to be done. So it's really easy, and it's got bacon in it. What else do you need? So another really good question that we had was for easy, good, fast, and complete meal on the grill. And immediately the first thing that popped into my brain for that was kebabs. I love kebabs. Kebabs you can feed a lot of people on very little money. You can take a cheaper cut of meat as far as steak-wise goes and make it go a lot farther. And you can have your vegetables and your protein all in one place and cook them on the grill. You can do chicken, you can do steak, you can do pork tenderloin. All of those options are really good, so you can always mix it up. I try to keep skewers on hand. The trick to kebabs is soaking your skewers for about 5 to 15 minutes in water so that they soak up the water and the wood won't burn. So that's kind of your tip for your kebabs there. Kebabs are good, and like I said, you can take a cheaper cut of steak and make it really, really good on there. And of course, marinating those items too work out well too if you have time. But if you don't, if you have some really good seasoning, then all you have to do is just put your seasoning on there, and they'll turn out just fine every single time. Now, one of the other things about the grill that a lot of people kind of don't think about using is their cast iron skillet. You can use your cast iron skillet on the grill just like you do it in the house. And it actually, just because you don't have your food directly on the grill doesn't mean that it won't have that wonderful grilled smoky flavor from the grill. In fact, it actually does that better because it holds the heat. You can control it whether you're cooking on direct heat or indirect heat on your grill. And you can shut the lid and infuse all that good grill flavor there in whatever you're cooking. I like salmon on the grill. Salmon on the grill is always good, and you can do salmon and vegetables. One of the things that people don't really think about is that you can grill fruit, you can grill vegetables, you can slice your vegetables into like fillet size slices. If you have squash or zucchini, onion slices, in a whole disc like this are really, really good grilled. There's no end to what you can do. And you can skewer just vegetables if you'd like to, along if you wanted to have it separate from your meats or your proteins. So you have your complete meal there. And of course, if you got to have bread, you wrap it up in tinfoil and you cook it on the grill, wrapped in tinfoil, and there you have your whole meal right there done on the grill all at the same time. You know, if you do salmon, I mentioned salmon, you know, salmon you need to be really careful with, because fish, any kind of fish that you grill, it doesn't take as long, and you have to be real careful as far as where you place it on the grill. If it's direct heat or indirect heat, of course you wanna be able to watch it and make sure it doesn't burn, make sure it doesn't stick. A lot of those things are apt to happen. So fish, if you're like me and you're not the best at grilling, you know, you might want to get some more experienced help when you're grilling fish, or just have your husband do it. That's what I do. But because I love grilled fish, but the grill doesn't like me. So I keep myself in the kitchen and I let him handle the grill. One of the things that a lot of people don't think about when they grill is Conecuh sausage. And yes, per Danny, it has to be Conecuh sausage. Conecuh sausage on the grill. You can cook it with diced potatoes. You can cook it with any other vegetable, and you can use your cast iron skillet on the grill, and it'll hold that smoky flavor. You just put it all in the skillet, put it together, you know, put you some butter in there, and then close the lid and stir it every so often. But Conecuh sausage on the grill with peppers and onions and maybe like potato hash is always really, really good. And especially in the months to come, whenever it starts to get cooler, it's very rib sticking, very good recipe, and it's one of our favorites here at the Buttered Home. But that's what I have for you tonight. I feel like I've rambled long enough, but if you have questions that you might think about later, Jasper just came to see me, sorry. If you have questions that you might think about later, feel free to send me a private message, or you can post them in the comments here, because I always pin our weekly video to the top of the page, and I always get a notification if there's a comment, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Again, my disclaimer is I'm by no means an expert, but if I don't know the answer, I'm not above finding it out. I'll be glad to ask somebody who is an expert. I'm just like you guys. I'm just here cooking and experimenting and trying to figure out the best way to feed my family so that we can all fellowship together and have time together. And we try to make a point every day to sit down together and talk about our day. And if that's at the dinner table, that's even better. That's an art that is dying, and I hope to be part of the movement to bring it back, to have our families to cook together and to disconnect from electronics and to sit down together and discuss our day and remind ourselves that even better than Facebook is face-to-face with one another, talking to one another face-to-face. I posted a really sappy post about our anniversary yesterday, and my dad had a pretty good comment about that. You know, I hope you told him all this to his face and not just on book face or whatever he said. And he's right. You know, we get so caught up in all the great things about social media. I have friends from college that live far away and friends from high school who live far away. And y'all, if it weren't for Facebook or Instagram, I might not get to see their kids grow up. And for that, I'm really thankful for social media, as I know all of you are. But, you know, we do lose a lot too. You know, if we get so caught up in it, we can focus so much on that and not on the people who are right next to us. So I encourage you this week to make a point every day to put your device down and make a point of face-to-face contact with somebody. And when you talk to them and ask them questions about how their weekend was or how their Labor Day was, really listen and tune in to those people that you're face-to-face with, because those human connections are the ones that are so important. So I hope that you have wonderful human connections this week. And from the Buttered Home, we love you all and we thank you all for joining. And we'll have a new contest announcement coming up later in the week. I don't know what day that'll be yet, but I will be posting some more details on that as far as when we'll be back with you live. So we look forward to seeing you on Wednesday for our grocery store hack. And if you need anything between now and then, just give us a shout. And y'all have a great rest of your Labor Day. Bye.